It's been a long day without you, my friend. And I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again. Who knew all the planes we flew, the things we've been through, that I'll be standing right here talking to you about another path. I know we love to hit the road and laugh, but something told me that it wouldn't last. Had to switch up, look at things different, see the bigger picture. Those were the days, hard work forever pays. Now I see you in a better place. How can we not talk about family when family's all that we got? Everything I would do, you were standing there by my side, and now you're gonna be with me for the last ride. It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again. First you both go out your way and the vibe is feeling strong. It was small, turn to a friendship, turn to a bond, and that bond will never be broken. The love will never get lost. And when brotherhood come first, and the line will never be crossed. Established it on our own when that line had to be drawn. When that line is what we wish, so remember me when I'm gone. How can we not talk about family when family's all that we got? Everything I would do, you were standing there by my side, and now you're gonna be with me for the last ride. It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again. So let the light guide your way. Yeah. Hold every memory as you go, and every road you take will always lead you home. Oh, it's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again. It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again.
What's up, party people of the SFL? Welcome again to Access Live. This is the 21st edition of Access Live, believe it or not. And we have a really, just a fantastic show for you this evening. Let me know in the chat how I sound. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Hopefully you heard the music pretty well. In addition to our Week 7 previews brought to you by just an incredible panel we've got tonight. We've got Gunny's Pearls of Wisdom, always, like we always do. We've got our Week 5 Diva of the Week winner, Ron Cochran, in the house. He'll be in here to accept his award and to do the pick'ems with us. We've got the pick'ems, obviously. And then at the end of the show, we have a very special segment of Access After Dark dedicated to Rich Pratcher, where we'll have certain people come on and talk about Rich and their experiences with him and the type of person he was and that kind of thing. I know Charles Doherty will be here. Eddie Gage is planning on being here. Mike Daggs. Cam's going to try to make it if his weather holds up. Benji's already here, obviously, and a couple more that I'm waiting to hear back from, possibly Andrew, Rastelli, and Harish. So we'll see if everybody can get in here. It'd be great to have a lot of these guys come on and tell their stories about Rich tonight. So let's see. In the meantime, while we're waiting, let's see who is in the house, and let's check numbers here real quick. So who do you got? Freddie, always here. Ethan Kai, what's up, bro? Good to see you. Lisa, thank you, sweetie, for tuning in. Doug Day, the guy who's in love with me, is in the house and wants to rub baby oil on my head. Michael, what's up, bro? I thought you had volleyball tonight. What's going on with that? Jeff Dovey, good to see you, buddy. Who else? Charles is in there. Good. Bob Funk, always great supporter. Glad to see you. Hugo, what's up, bro? Slyn Shady, all the way from, I forget, where do you live in? Somewhere in England. I forget. Somewhere in the Liverpool or area. I can't remember exactly. Let's see. Who else we got? Coach Craven, of course. Doug Britton, what's up, bro? I'm so glad. Dude, I love seeing your name like that ever since you changed it. Frank is in there. I see Frank. Twin Screw, good to see you, buddy. Art Vandalay, always. Thanks for the message in the Access Live server. Deacon Nickens, good to see you, bro. I think we missed you last show. Captain James 227. Is that Big Dog James from the show the other night? Oh, it is. Hey, James, glad to have you listening, bro. Dynasty just hopped in. Good to see you, bro. Gunny, of course. And Jeremy just got here, and everybody's favorite quarterback, Ace Fennick, is in the house as well. So good to see everybody. Glad to have you here. Let's jump right into me introducing the panel. We've got kind of a hodgepodge, if you will, a smorgasbord of different peeps in the house to do the Week 7 previews for us. Let's start off with we've got Frank the Franchise Wade, tight end from Las Vegas, so you know, and a regular on the show from Sim Scouts Inc. Frank, what's up?
Hey, thanks, Dave. Glad to be back.
Glad to have you back. We've got Brian Coach Craven in the house, obviously linebacker from Lone Star, and one of the Bash brothers, and new on the Epic Esports crew, and the host of Coach's Corner. Coach, glad to have you back.
Thank you. I'm getting a sense of deja vu here because I could have sworn I just did this, but
I feel like you were just here like 48 hours ago or something. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that.
It was fun though. We'll see if we can not screw it up this time.
Yeah, that's all right. And then last but certainly not least, we have Benji Matson in the house, tight end from London and color commentator for the SFL broadcast team. Benji, welcome aboard.
Gentlemen, distinguished panelists, all my fans in the audience.
All your fans in the audience. All right, so I want to just jump right into this. Let's get to these Week 7 games. Let me hit something here real quick. I want to show before we get to you guys. We've got, the games this week. I'm looking. Queen City at Tulsa will be interesting. Denver at Carolina. Can Denver, continue their winning ways? Charleston at Chicago. I think that's going to be a toss-up. Lone Star at Sioux Falls. That's going to be a tough game for us. Florida at Las Vegas. Vegas playing back at home after losing a couple straight, so I have a feeling which way that game may go. Arizona traveling to London. London, the last team that hasn't won a game yet. Or are they going to get in the win column yet? Jacksonville at Atlanta. Two of what I thought were two of the top teams in the league at the beginning of the season. Portland won a game in Week 6. Now they get to travel to Mexico City, deal with that defense. We'll see how that goes. Fort Worth at St. Louis. This is going to be an interesting game. Is St. Louis going to win against a Texas team, or is Texas going to sweep St. Louis? On Monday night, what I think personally is the game of the week, Vancouver at Louisiana. Louisiana sitting up top with Denver. Vancouver, a really good team in themselves, coming off a tough game last week. I think that's your game of the week. And then to wrap things up, the very last game of the weekend is the crowd play game of the week, Houston at Baltimore. Houston started off strong. They've struggled a little bit lately. And then Baltimore losing last week. We'll see what happens with that. Let me get into these games here now. Frank, you're going to lead us off. And we've got on there you go. There it is. On Saturday, first game of the weekend, kicking off on 11 Sports at 3 p.m. Eastern. Queen City at Tulsa. I'm surprised to see Queen City sitting 3-3. I know Coach was high on Tulsa, but they've run into some bad luck. Frank, where do you see this game heading?
You got Queen City sitting at 3-3 after winning over a team that will remain nameless last week. They'll go into Tulsa, which is sitting at 2-4 after losing last week. Queen City's 8th ranked offense will be trying to steal a win on the road. It's going to be tough. They may have to rely on their run game because their passing game that is ranked 6th will be going up against the 3rd ranked pass defense. That means Jet Zero is going to have to get on track. UCC, the run game is ranked 18th and has not had a rushing TD in 6 games. They are going against the 18th ranked rush defense. Caswell, he can get careless with the ball. He has 16 touchdowns, but he also has 15 interceptions. So I'll have to have Chris Curtis and James Matthews. They have to bail him out. Defensively, Queen City is ranked 3rd in points against. It's 20.5. The Duff Man, Jeff Duffy, 10.5 sacks. That's good enough for 2nd in the league. And Albert Begin anchored that defense, which is ranked 6th overall. Tulsa has a 2-4 record, should be 1-5, but that's another story on a team to remain nameless. Has the 21st ranked offense and the 8th ranked defense. Defense is pretty good, and they've been keeping them in games. But we have seen when Manning is taken out of the game what happens. The Tulsa offense struggles. Deacon Nickens has thrown 9 touchdowns and 18 interceptions. Alonzo Robinson is 13th ranked rusher, but only has 1 rushing touchdown. EJ Majesty, Kane Vasquez, and Espen Rael lead this stingy defense. I think this game is going to go depending on what Jet Zero does. I think he's going to break out, and the Queen City defense will take Manning out of the game. I say the Corsairs pull this out on the road 23-20.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about Gabriel Manning this season, especially early on. But I got to tell you, I think the key to Tulsa's offense is really Deacon Nickens. I think if he protects the ball and doesn't throw so many interceptions, I think that Tulsa is always in the game. One of the things I noticed on the screen, on the graphic tonight, is they both average about 3 turnovers a game, but Tulsa also averages 3 takeaways, where Queen City only averages 1. So I think the turnovers might be the difference in this game. Jack's data has Queen City favored by 3.5 with an over under of 45.5. The Who You Got overwhelmingly 134-41 has taken Queen City to start off week 7 for us. Moving on to game 2 on Saturday, Denver tied for first place with Louisiana, traveling to Carolina. Denver on top of the world right now, no pun intended. Carolina a little up and down, but they've been impressive in their wins. Benji, do you think, is Denver going to go 6-1 in this game, or is Carolina going to take care of business? Oh, did we lose Benji? I think you're muted, Benji. Where'd Benji go? Benji. There you go. I got you.
All thumbs. I'm all thumbs.
That's all right, bro. So what are you thinking on this Denver at Carolina game?
Yeah, Denver's leading in all sorts of really cool things, like points per game, yards per game. I mean, 37 points a game for this team. They are chucking the ball, running the ball, 470 total yards a game. That's first in the league. They are second in both passing touchdowns and rushing touchdowns. On offense, they can't be stopped. They got a comparable defense as well that is helping support this high-powered offense. This is just the 3rd road game of the year for Denver. They've had the luxury of being at home for 4 of their victories. So they're 1-1 on the road. They won last week against Arizona. All cylinders are firing for Denver. Now, of course, they're on the road playing Carolina. Carolina's 2-1 at home, beat Chicago last week in kind of a knock them out, drag down fight. Carolina's going to be, they need to be up to the task this week. Kind of looking over stats. They're getting some good play from their stars, their key players, and they need to have big games from them this weekend. Logan Jack continues to light it up, receiving out of the backfield. This young man's up to 81 receptions on the year from his halfback spot. That is number 1 in the league. And interesting stat there, he alone almost has more receptions than all 3 wide receivers for this Carolina team.
Wow.
So they need to continue to utilize Logan Jack like they're doing. But if they are going to beat Denver at home this week, they need to get some more explosive play out of their wide receivers. They've been playing very well. Heath McDaniel had a good game last week, for instance. So they are there. They're making plays. I think if Carolina just needs to have an explosion this week to beat Denver, I think Denver, even though they're on the road, is too powerful this week for Carolina.
Yeah, I have a feeling that everybody in the pick'em is gonna pick Denver. I just care, if Denver has a game that they really got to watch out for, I think this might actually be the one. Jack's data has Denver favored by 6.5, so not even a touchdown. The over/under is 54.5, so they expect to see some points in this game. SFL Nation though, 123-47 in Denver's favor. Carolina not getting a lot of love going up against Denver. In our third game of the week, Charleston at Chicago. Chicago took a tough loss last week. Charleston starting to become the team that we maybe thought they were, Coach, or what do you think about this game?
Well, I mean, I jinxed Charleston early in the year, calling them a championship game contender. I know Alan certainly had a bone to pick with me over that. We're setting the bar so high. But as everyone keeps saying, and it's clear to everyone that looks, they've had a really tough schedule. And with so many teams sitting where they are, Charleston, to me, could still it very easily rattle off a few wins and be right there in contention. This is an interesting game for them, though, isn't it? Because you got to go to the Thunderdome. Obviously, Chicago's taken some hits. They lost their tight end. They're playing down a man, all of that jazz. But when you look at the numbers, it's a really compelling matchup. The points for and against are big for Chicago. They've obviously won some big games and not given up a lot of points.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Charleston, their normally stingy defense, isn't quite as stingy as last year, but it'd be a mistake to say they're not still tough. This is, to me, it still feels like a pick 'em because of Chicago being a hard place to play. But Charleston has to. They almost have to. They can't afford to lose very many more games anyway. I think somebody could make the playoffs at 5-7 this year, but you don't want to risk it. And so, it's every week's going to be a lot of pressure on Charleston every week. If you ask me what I think Charleston pulls it out just because of the upheaval in Chicago.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. That's completely part of the entire scenario. Jack's data has Chicago favored by 3. I kind of like Charleston in this game too, Coach. I think over under only 37.5. I think it's the lowest one of the week. So Jack's data expecting a very defensive battle here in Chicago between these two teams. And who you got? SFL Nation. Wow. This is the close one. This is actually really close. 89-74 for Charleston right now. So that's not too shabby. 89-74 with a couple days to go. So who knows how much closer that voting may get before kickoff. Wrapping up the Saturday games, the 8:15 game on YouTube. Lone Star at Sioux Falls. Frank, I don't think a lot of people are going to give Lone Star a chance in this game. What do you think?
Dave, every week I pick Lone Star. Lone Star is another one of those teams that's sitting at 500. Sioux Falls is 4-2. Should be 3-3, but again, that's another story. Offensively, Lone Star is 20th in yards per game. Sioux Falls is 15th. Sioux Falls leads the league in rushing with Colin Hart, part of a 175-yard game average. Lone Star is 12th overall with 92.5 yards a game. Julian Tyree is ranked last in yards passing with just barely over 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Ace has 13 interceptions, but he has cut those down as of late, and the offense has been more productive. Ike McBride has been used like I'd like to see. She is tied at 6 with 6 touchdowns. Adam Williams is my choice so far for Rookie of the Year. He leads all rookie tight ends, including yours truly, with 448 yards and 4 touchdowns. This is a lot of production. They have a lot of production from the wide receivers, but the TDs are not there. I think you and Liam have one apiece. One of the best linebacking cores is Lone Star, and I've said that all year long. They're going up against another linebacking core that's at the top. Alex Parker, Nick Fargo, and Jose Fuentes can match what Doug Day, Freddie Trammell, and Coach can do for Lone Star. Lone Star is ranked 17th overall on defense, but 6th against the run. Falls is 13th overall and 9th against the run. I think this game is going to be closer than most people think. But Dave, I think this weekend I have to go against Lone Star. I think Sioux Falls holds off a late charge and wins this 28-23.
Well, that's okay. You've given us a lot of love so far, so I don't blame you this time. Well, here's the thing. Jack's data only has Sioux Falls favored by 7.5, but they're expecting almost 60 points in this game, with the over-under being at 59.5. So they're expecting a lot of scoring in this game. SFL Nation, not a lot of love, not a lot of support, not a lot of confidence in Lone Star. Over 100 more votes in the Who You Got for Sioux Falls than Lone Star. 139 to only 31 for Lone Star. So I don't think we're going to make that up in only 2 days. So we will definitely see what happens. That wraps up Saturday's games. Kicking us off, first game on Sunday at 12:30 on 11 Sports. Florida at Las Vegas. 2 teams that have had their ups and downs. I've talked about it before. I think Vegas plays great at home, Benji. I have a feeling they'll play great at home again. What do you think?
I think that that's why they pay you the big bucks.
Is that why it is? Is that why I get the big bucks?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm actually really excited to watch this game. These 2 teams are crazy right now. Florida, 3-game winning streak. They're on fire. If you're doing one of those proxy things, last week they took out Fort Worth 30-10, and the week before that, Fort Worth demolished Sioux Falls. So by proxy, I got air quotes going on. Yeah. Doesn't that make Florida like best team in the league right now?
Don't think that's how it works, bro.
How that works?
I don't think so.
Well, quarterback and our guest later this evening, Ron Cochran, he's been on fire. He's He's 83 for 109, 770 yards, and 6 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. So he's putting in the work. He's getting great support from his receivers last week. So they're really cooking. Even getting some love from that running back spot in Mr. JW Dumpster Fire Doyle.
Yeah.
Had a big game. So they're firing on all cylinders. 3-game winning streak. And so they're rolling into Las Vegas, 2-0 at home. This is going to be only their 3rd home game of the season, and unfortunately, they are on this 0-3 skid right now. They've lost to Queen City, Tulsa, Sioux Falls. In this losing streak, they've averaged only 16 points. Their rushing stats here aren't pretty.
Neither one are pretty.
Yeah, well, these are 2 teams. I don't think they're going to be pretty this weekend either. Poor Las Vegas and Scott Johnson, last 3 games, -4 yards rushing, 17 yards rushing, 19 yards rushing. So it's this air attack from Vegas that's been keeping them in games. On the side of the ball here, Tom Rahman, 950 yards in the last few games, only 2 touchdowns to 8 picks. I say 8 picks like that's a bad thing. Other side of the ball, good old Ron. I think he's got. I've got him at 10 interceptions during his 3-game winning streak. If I'm correct there.
We had 2 against us 2 weeks ago, but he also threw for over 500 yards.
Yep. He has 10 interceptions the last 3 weeks, yet they've won 3 games in a row. I don't know how that happens. So add all this up. Florida's on the road at Las Vegas. This is going to be a crazy game. I think that no one's going to want to run the ball. Everything's going to be through the air. There's going to be plenty of gifts to the other team. So there's going to be some interceptions, lots of touchdowns. I just think that when it comes down to the end, something crazy is going to happen. I think something crazy like Tom Robin connecting with the best-looking tight end on that team, Garrison Blue. Something like that to get him in range for an Otis field goal. Otis has played well as of late. I think that this is going to come down to whoever has the ball last. It very well could be Vegas, and they could pull this out at home. I think it's going to be a great game, and I'm actually going to go ahead and pick Vegas in this game this weekend.
Wow. Okay. I kind of see it going Vegas as well. I guess we'll talk to Ron about that when he comes on. He definitely put the work in against us in week 5. We'll see how he does this week. I think Jack's data agrees with you. They have a really close game as well, Benji. They've got Vegas only favored by 3 with an over-under of 45.5. But SFL Nation on the Who You Got overwhelmingly twice as many votes for Florida than Vegas, 108-59 for Florida in the Who You Got. So interesting. You and Jack's data look one way. SFL Nation goes the other way. I guess that's probably why everybody predicts it's going to be a close game. Moving on to the second game on Sunday, 2:30 p.m., 11 Sports. Arizona, on top of the world a couple weeks ago, 3-1. I think they were tied for first place at the time. 2-game losing streak, but they're going across the pond to play London, who hasn't won a game yet. Now, we know they've been in some really close games, and there's a couple they could have pulled out, Coach. Is this finally where they get in the win column? Does Arizona continue to spiral a little bit, or does Arizona get back on track this weekend?
Well, this one makes me nervous for Arizona just because the law of averages says that London's going to get one, or, one or two, and they're over right now. So it just, I'd be nervous if I were Arizona. On paper, it looks promising for them to go get a road win. You look at the points for and against for London, that's pretty ugly. Third down conversion, pretty ugly, 29%. Arizona, on the other hand, some of these losses, we talk about them being on a little bit of a slide, but they lost to Denver in Denver, right? It was a pretty quality win, and it ended up being kind of a big win for Denver, but for a while there, Arizona was playing great. They were looking pretty good. What I like is what worries me again is the points for and against on their part, but it's not as big a deficit. The turnovers, they are positive in the takeaways to giveaways. I fumbled that phrase. You know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
And London's underwater. So it's a question of, do they make it happen this week? They could. I felt like early in the season, London was competitive in a couple of those games. We saw them come back on Louisiana, for example, and then ultimately fall. So the talent's there. The guys are progressing and getting better. It could happen, but even as I'm saying it out loud, I have a really hard time. I think Arizona gets this done this week. They still have a great team. 3-3 makes them look like they're, in the same boat as we are, but I think that's a pretty good team. And, if they can limit their turnovers, then I don't see London having a chance.
Well, I think Jack's data agrees with you because they have Arizona favored by 6.5, so not even a touchdown. So I think they're expecting a close game, but that Arizona will pull it out. Over under a 48.5, and the Who You Got, I mean, just kind of like the Lone Star game, almost 100 more votes for Arizona than London, 139-132 in the Who You Got. So not a lot of faith in London winning their first game this weekend. Moving on to Jacksonville at Atlanta, the third game on Sunday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern on 11 Sports. Benji, I thought these were two of the best teams in the league going into the season. They've both had their struggles. How do you see this going down?
Yeah, first of all, I want to give a shout out to my London crew in the house.
There you go.
Because it's my right to do so because I'm like Dave X's guest. So
is that how that works now?
Okay. I see Jeff in there. I see Bo in there. So I wanted to say,
I see a bunch of guys in there. You're right.
Yep. London's representing, and we're having a good time. So we're keeping our heads up.
That's all that matters, bro.
That's right, man. Yeah, I think this is also going to be a really good game. Two teams getting it done in different styles. Atlanta's another unique team, 3-0 at home, so they are defending the hive, if you will. Jacksonville 1-2 on the road. Of course, has this winning 4-2 record. Jacksonville beat Charleston last week. It was the Jared Willis show. He carried the rock 36 times, ran for 182 yards, 2 touchdowns, and we know that's kind of how the team goes there. However, Jared Willis goes. And they're going to be up on the road, tall task against Atlanta. Atlanta is, as London saw firsthand, is stacked, of course, with talent, and they're led by the Dynasty and the BDG, who kind of tore London apart. And I think that is the key to stopping Atlanta. Is you got to, well, how do you stop both those guys? Because Dynasty can sling it and BDG can spin it.
Yep.
And I'm going over my stats here really fast. Let's see. 3-0 at home. Atlanta's averaging 33 points at home, over 420 yards, and 5 touchdowns a game at home. 3-0. So you've got to keep pace with Atlanta. Your offense has to be clicking. I don't know if Jacksonville has got it in them to keep up with Atlanta. And if they happen to fall behind early, throw a pick or something like that, then they have to deal with the Murder Hornets, who are difficult to deal with in their own right. So this is going to be a tall task for Jacksonville. Atlanta just has a ton of weapons. BDG last week, only 11 carries for only 52 yards. But that's the thing about Atlanta and BDG. They can hurt you in so many ways. He had 10 receptions out of the backfield for 168 yards and 3 touchdowns. No one was going to stop him last week. He just happened to be doing it, catching those swing passes and doing that little didgeridoo spinaroo that he does out there. So
can you say that again? What's that called?
It's a didgeridoo spinaroo, something like that, right?
Okay.
It's just impossible to bring him down. So I think it's a tall task. Atlanta's too powerful on offense. I think that they improved to 4-0 at home. Dynasty's playing super well, and to have BDG behind you in the backfield, that's an awesome security blanket to have. So I think Atlanta goes to 4-0. They protect the hive, and they do beat Jacksonville. But I think it's going to be a really good game this weekend.
Yeah, I believe. You know what? You got 2 gunslingers in this game. Jack's data has this game at 57.5 on the over/under. It's the second highest for the weekend. So I think we're going to see a lot of offense in that game. They have Atlanta favored by 3.5, so just barely over a field goal. However, SFL Nation 109-61 in Atlanta's favor. So a lot of faith in Atlanta this weekend to defend home field. Moving on to Portland at Mexico City. Portland coming off their very first win, Frank, in franchise history. But they got to go play a Mexico City team that has been really tough this season. Oh, you know what? We lost Frank. He's in the green room for some reason. How'd that happen? Come on, buddy. There you go. Frank, can you hear me now? Frank going once?
Frank, I got you. I don't know what happened. It got knocked out.
I don't know. That's okay. Portland and Mexico City.
I think the whole league was excited. I know I was excited when Portland pulled off the upset last week. I said all they had to do was break the ice and then now build on that win. Their defense, 19th overall, has kept them in games, but their offense, which is ranked last overall, has not been able to help. That all changed last week with Portland making that late drive for the game-winning field goal. Mexico City's defense is ranked 20th. So can Portland take advantage? Mexico City's front 7 is going to give Portland fits. Portland has not scored a touchdown on the road all season. If Matt South with 1,392 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions and get the ball off, he may have a chance against the 21st ranked passing defense. Mexico City's rush defense is ranked 5th, but their passing defense is allowing over 330 yards a game. John Truzman has 286 yards rushing, no touchdowns for the season, and I don't see much of that changing with this rush defense. The rookie wide receivers are going to have to be on their A game for South. They're just going to have a lot to deal with that front 7. I just don't know if he's going to be able to get that off. Matt Wilson is second in yards with 2,000 49. He has 14 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Mexico City does a good job of incorporating Phoenix Jones and Laura Harrell into the running game. They like using Harrell. She's a fullback, but in a tailback's body. They like using her around the red zone. This is going to be needed because it's going to help Wilson out, so he can control those interceptions. The man, Mike Daggs, leads all tight ends, but not only all tight ends, all wide receivers in yards with 767 and touchdowns with 8. He might just be getting Offensive Player of the Year when it's all said and done. Being in Mexico City and a tough defensive front against a struggling offense who may have just found out what they need to do, I still have to give this game to Mexico City 29-16.
Yeah, for those of you that are actually looking at the screen, I mentioned a couple weeks ago, and I just want to remind you, the way the stats are on Thursdays is the away team's away stats and the home team's home stats. So if you see under Portland on the touchdowns, 0, Portland has yet to score a touchdown on the road. So that's why you see it like that. Not that they haven't scored any touchdowns all season long. Mexico City is favored by almost 2 touchdowns, Frank. So I think Jack's data agrees with you. They're favored by 13.5 with an over-under of 51.5, as well as SFL Nation in the Who You Got, 141-28. So Mexico City running away with that as well. The nightcap game for Sunday night, Fort Worth at St. Louis. 2 teams who have had some great wins. 2 teams who have had some tough losses. Coach, I think this is going to be a close game. Tell me what you think.
I agree. And first of all, I want to say I finally figured out how to sort stats on my laptop, so hopefully I'll be a little more professional with this one than I was the last 2.
Okay.
This is so often in these games, the matchups are very, very important. And Fort Worth has a lot of talent on offense, and St. Louis has the majority of their developed talent on defense. And they're a tough defense, obviously. We got lucky and broke through for a couple touchdowns last week, but they had, what was it, like 9? Somebody will correct me quickly, whatever it was. It was like 9 quarters in a row without giving up a touchdown. This is a fantastic defense. So which Fort Worth are we going to see on the road? Are we going to see the Fort Worth that handled Sioux Falls? Are we going to see the Fort Worth that struggled to score against us, for example, or whatever? I don't know. Offense is sometimes harder to sustain. And in an ugly game, a couple of turnovers can make a big difference. So if their offense isn't clicking, then you got to give it to St. Louis because they can grind it out and play a tough game. They are, when you look at them, almost 300 yards passing a game, 100 yards rushing a game. They can run the ball, but it's definitely more about passing. And so I really think it boils down to that. If Fort Worth gets their offense clicking, which is going to be difficult, then it's a barn burner and it's a good game. If not, then we're going to see one of those 17-10 type of things. And I'd say St. Louis grinds it out in that case.
Yeah, Jack's data, I think, agrees with us. They have this game as a pick'em. So pretty much, I think, I don't know. I mean, St. Louis, I think maybe a slight edge because they're playing at home. But like you said, just everything is just so close. Over under 51.5. SFL Nation, though, a lot of faith in St. Louis at home. 107-64 in the Who You Got. That wraps up Sunday, and we move into Monday Night Football. This is the game that I believe is going to be the game of the week. I think Vancouver is much better than their record shows. Louisiana tied for first with Denver on top of the entire SFL at 5-1, Frank. I think this is going to be just I'm not going to miss this game.
I'm not either. I'm gonna watch this from start to finish. This is the second game since the passing of Rich Pratchard. I still, pray for his family. I chose to wear the number 86 because that's what I wore in high school. My son did as well until his senior season. It's special to me. Now it's even more special since I'm proud to wear it in honor of Rich Pratchard. I'm going to watch this one and keep my eyes on it. The number 2 rated offense, Louisiana, versus the number 10 rated defense in Vancouver. Vancouver's offense is 10th overall, with Louisiana's defense being ranked 5th. Who's going to turn the ball over more? You got Tom Pepper ranked third with 16 interceptions, or Reggie Streeter ranked first in fumbles. There have been 10 fumbles in the entire league, and Streeter has 4, and he's lost all 4. Now, on a very bright side, he is literally running away with the season 15 rushing title with 941 yards and 11 touchdowns.
Wow.
The nearest running back to him is almost 160 yards away. He's averaging nearly 158 yards a game. This gives Johnny Pickler the opportunity to, air quote, manage a game and not try to win it himself. He has thrown 11 touchdowns and 8 interceptions and has over 1,400 yards passing. Chase Earl, Aaron Storm are 31, 32 respectively in receiving yards with 3 touchdowns each. Hank Bennett is tied for 4th in interceptions with 5. Do you know who he's tied with?
Who?
Evan Arthur, his buddy in the secondary, also with 5. They are quarterback killers. They must be licking their chops for this game against Pepper. Robert Redford is doing everything the offense is asking him to do. 6 rushing TDs and 2 receiving TDs. 615 yards rushing, almost 200 yards receiving. What is positive about Vancouver is that their run defense is ranked 4th overall, and possibly they can slow Streeter down. The problem for Redford is that Louisiana's defense is ranked 5th in rushing defense. Their pass defenses are close. Vancouver's 15, Louisiana's 11th. Brett Killian is 10th in receiving yards, 554 and 5 touchdowns. Rich Pratchard is 13th with 526 and 4 touchdowns, scoring 1 last week. Drew Hamilton is 5th in total tackles with 62. He has 4 interceptions also. His teammate Kevin Brackett is 16th with 57 total tackles. I see both defenses trying to stop the running game, putting it in the hands of the quarterbacks. If that is the case, the game is in favor of Pickler at home. I hope this game does not get out of hand by one team or the other, but if it does, don't count the other one out until the very end, because they just might get back in it. I think this is going to be exciting. I see this game being close with Louisiana pulling it out 28-24.
Yeah, I think that I think you're right. I think it's going to be a super close game. I think it's going to be really exciting. Jack's data has Louisiana favored by 7.5, so barely a touchdown, with an over/under of 57.5. I think that's tied for the second highest for the weekend, but also tied for the closest. Who you got? 93-88. Only 5 votes separating those teams as of right now. Moving on to the crowd play game of the week and the last game of week 7, wrapping us up Monday night at 9 o'clock Eastern. Houston, who's been up and down, at Baltimore, who is looking stronger and stronger. I know they lost last week, but they've been looking really good. 4-2, also playing at home. Benji, what do you think about this game?
This is an interesting game, and I'm still in my mind playing out all the scenarios. I haven't even decided right now as I talk about it who's gonna win this one. This is a new era starting for Baltimore this Monday night, so that's going to be an interesting aspect to this game here. They've got a new quarterback, and they lost one of their leaders on defense too to retirement. So they're going to be starting a new chapter here in Baltimore on Monday night. They're 4-2. Tough loss last week against Louisiana. Their last 2 opponents are Louisiana in Vancouver. Those 2 opponents that play in that game just before them, and tough loss to Louisiana, but they did beat Vancouver the week prior. And they had another big win. I'm trying to pull up my schedule. They had another big win just the week before that against Denver. The lone loss this year to the Night Wings was on the road to the Baltimore Vultures, 24-27. The Vultures got them at home. So home field advantage, right, to Baltimore. Houston comes in 3-3. They did lose last week in that stunner to Portland. Whatever happened in that fourth quarter happened in that fourth quarter. Not indicative maybe of Houston as a ball club. Warren Murray still played well, carried the ball 24 times for 132 yards. Portland dominated the time of possession in our 11-minute all-pro football quarters. Portland finished that game, I think, 6 more minutes on the clock for time of possession, and Houston can't do that, especially this weekend against Baltimore if they're going to win. Houston is 0-3 on the road. They are averaging just 17 points a game on the road, and they are giving up about 3 turnovers a game. So it does not bode well for a team traveling on the road to Baltimore. I think, though, they do have a chance in this game, and I think the formula is to control that time of clock, let Warren Murray run the ball, give it to him 30 times, keep the clock even, look for DR Sim on the outside. They got an all-star right there. So there is a formula for Houston to win this game. I don't know if it's going to happen. They need to limit the turnovers on the road. I think their away stats might just be too steep to overcome as they go into Baltimore unless they play a perfect game on the road Monday night. I'm going to give the nod to Baltimore at home on Monday night to close it out. It's going to be such an interesting game. I wouldn't be surprised if it is close, and with the ball bouncing, you could possibly bounce Houston's way at the end, but I'm going to give the nod to Baltimore in a close one. Hopefully a very good one to close us out on Monday night.
Yeah, I hope so too. I think it'll be a good game either way. Jack's data only has Baltimore favored by 3.5. But over under a 58.5, which I think is the most or tied for the most for the weekend. Who you got though? SFL Nation, you got 147-22 in favor of Baltimore, so they don't seem to think that this game is going to be pretty close. That wraps up Week 7 game previews. Gunny's going to be coming on next. Gunny, are you ready to rock and roll?
Yes, I am.
You may begin whenever you're ready, sir.
Good evening, SFL. Congratulations to the following Week 6 signings. Kendra Hall, Atlanta. Austin Brigham, Baltimore. Al Walker, Baltimore. Robert Johnson, Chicago. Dean Same, London. Jared Crow, Queen City. Congratulations to these Week 7 signings. Cole Finnegan, Atlanta, linebacker. James Tobin, Chicago, wide receiver. Jack Wigmore, Baltimore, quarterback. And Alvin Mack, Baltimore, linebacker. Congratulations to these two individuals for Week 6 and 7 signings to the SFL Major League teams. Also, congratulations to the Portland Fleet organization on their first franchise victory. Congratulations to Jake Bovett, Nelson Lozano, and Mel Davis, the staff there at Portland. End of the season awards, I propose the SFL dedicate a humanitarian award in the memory of Rich Pratchard. Rich Pratchard's number 86, still catching passes in the clouds. Good luck to everyone in Week 7. That is all.
All right, Gunny, thank you very much. Thank you for those sentiments. You're always greatly appreciated. Going to move on to Diva of the Week. I talked about this on Tuesday. We had a tie-breaking vote. That came down to Jason Williams and Ron Cochran for Week 5. We had nearly 70 people vote in the vote-off, if you will. And Ron Cochran won, believe it was 54% to 46%. So Ron Cochran is your Week 5 Diva of the Week. 517 yards, 42 of 54, 4 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. He had a game-leading drive late in the regulation, and then a game-winning drive in overtime. So, Ron Cochran, welcome to the show. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing very well. First of all, I'd like to give my condolences to Rich Pratchett's family and to my offensive line. They're the ones that do everything.
Well, we appreciate that a lot. Did first of all, you're a hard man to get a hold of. I had to find Doyle to get a hold of you. I'm assuming you don't listen to the show very much. Did you even know about the award?
Yeah, I did. I listen to the show almost every evening.
Oh, great.
I'm an old man.
Okay. No, that sounds great. I'm glad to hear that, and I'm glad to have you on the show. So on Tuesday, I guess you already knew you won before we got a hold of you. You want to share any kind of feelings that you have of getting just an amazing award that's called the Diva of the Week award?
Well, with me, it's always a team win, even with awards. So
Oh, you cut out, Ron.
Did you hear me?
There you go. Go ahead. Team. You said it was a team something, and then you cut out.
I said it's a team award. My offensive line gets this award, not me.
Oh, good for you. Glad to hear that. Glad to hear you're a team guy. Thanks for coming on the show. You're going to stick around to do pick'ems with us?
Sure.
Okay.
No problem.
Sounds great. We're going to go right into that, actually. And panelists, we're running just a little behind, so I want to try to whip through this pretty quick if we can. So, Benji, I'm going to start with you. Queen City at Tulsa.
Tulsa.
Coach.
Tulsa.
Frank. Frank, you're muted, bro. There you go.
Queen City.
Queen City. Ron, who do you have Queen City at Tulsa?
Queen City.
Queen City. And then Gunny, who do you got?
Queen City.
Queen City. Game 2 on Saturday, Denver at Carolina. Benji.
Denver.
Denver, Coach.
Carolina.
Ooh, pulling for the upset. Frank?
Denver.
Denver. Ron?
Denver.
Denver. And then Gunny.
Denver.
And Denver. Look at Coach being the only guy calling an upset. Game 3 on Saturday, Charleston at Chicago. Benji.
Chicago.
Chicago at home. Okay. Coach?
Charleston.
Charleston. Frank?
Chicago.
Chicago. Ron, who you got Charleston at Chicago?
Charleston.
Charleston. And Gunny, who you got?
Charleston.
Charleston. Okay. Pretty even on that one. Benji, game 4, Lone Star at Sioux Falls.
I'm going to go Sioux Falls on this one.
Okay. Coach?
Lone Star.
Frank?
Sioux Falls.
Sioux Falls. Ron, who do you got in this one?
Sioux Falls.
And Gunny, who you got?
Well, I'm going to go with Sioux Falls.
Gunny
They're
picked this.
my pick to win the whole championship.
I was wondering how you were going to go on that. Are you going to pick the team you picked to win the whole thing, or are you going to go with
You
your
got
team?
it.
That is hilarious. Let's see here. Lost track now. Florida at Las Vegas.
Crazy game, but I'm going Las Vegas.
Las Vegas. Coach.
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas. Frank.
Vegas, baby.
Vegas, baby. Ron, who you got?
Florida all the way.
Florida. And then Gunny, who you got?
Las Vegas at home.
Las Vegas at home. Okay. Game 2 on Sunday, Arizona at London. Benji.
London.
London. Coach.
Arizona.
Frank.
Arizona.
Arizona. Let's see. Ron.
Arizona.
Arizona.
Come on, guys.
Gunny, who you got? You gonna give Benji some love or no?
I really want him to win, but it's Arizona.
Arizona. Okay. I don't know. Maybe that works in your favor, Benji, being
Maybe
the
so,
underdog
maybe
like
so.
that. Who knows? Jacksonville at Atlanta. Benji.
Atlanta.
Atlanta. This is actually going to be a really close game, I think. Coach.
Atlanta.
Atlanta. Frank.
Atlanta.
Atlanta. Ron.
I'm going Jacksonville.
Jacksonville. There you go. Gunny.
Atlanta.
And Atlanta. What do we got here? The 4th game on Sunday. Portland at Mexico City. Benji.
I'm going to go Mexico City on this one.
Mexico City. I can't believe this. This is a 14-point spread. No love for Portland winning their first game, I guess. Coach?
I got to go Mexico City.
Mexico City. Frank?
Mexico City.
Ron?
Got to go with the Hall of Famer, Mexico
There
City.
you go. Gunny?
The Aztecs.
Okay. Wow, that was a clean sweep. That was, is that our first clean? I think it's our first clean sweep of the week so far. Mexico City all the way. Benji, wrapping up Sunday, Fort Worth at St. Louis.
St. Louis.
St. Louis. Coach?
I am going to say St. Louis.
St. Louis. Frank?
Eagles gonna kill me, and Wayne, you're gonna hate me. Fort Worth. I'm going with the Fort Worth upset on the road.
Wow. Okay. Ron, who you got?
St. Louis.
St. Louis and Gunny.
The Gladiators.
Wow, St. Louis getting a lot of home field love there, it looks like. The first Monday night game, Vancouver at Louisiana. Benji.
I'm going to go Vancouver on this one.
Ooh, an upset. Okay. Coach?
Excuse me, I'm picking Vancouver as well.
Are you just picking them because you played for them?
No, I picked against them earlier. Nobody heard me yet.
That's all right. Frank?
Louisiana.
Louisiana. Ron, who you got in this game?
Vancouver.
Vancouver. And then Gunny, who do you got?
Vancouver still running the rich momentum. They're going with Vancouver.
Man, Louisiana in first place at 5-1, playing at home, getting no love from the panel tonight. Wow. Crowd play game of the week, Monday night, 9 p.m. Houston at Baltimore. Benji, who you got?
Gotta go with Baltimore.
Baltimore. Coach?
Sorry, I muted. Baltimore.
Baltimore. Frank?
Well, before Pickler gets upset, I did give Louisiana some love, but on this game, I'm going Baltimore.
Baltimore as well. Okay. Ron, who do you got? Vancouver or Baltimore?
Baltimore.
Baltimore. Gunny, you going to make this a clean sweep?
Yes, I am. Baltimore.
Baltimore. Wow. Okay, but out of 11 games, the panel only picked 2 clean sweeps. That's Mexico City over Portland and Baltimore over Houston. Now I want to move on to our Week 6 Diva of the Week. I mentioned on Tuesday that all of us here at the show decided that it was appropriate, and as a tribute to Rich Pratchett, that there would be no nominees this week for Week 6 Diva of the Week. There would be no voting. The unanimous vote, I think, from everybody in the league automatically goes to Rich Pratchett. Not that he was a diva in any sense of the word, because everybody that I've talked to says he was quite the opposite. There's not social media, people I've talked to in the SFL here, everything, you can't find one single bad word about this guy. Unfortunately, I never had the opportunity to meet him or even speak with him. I just got to, watch him on the draft shows and broadcasting the game. Sorry, but from every sense of the word, he sounds like he was a very classy guy, a very giving guy, and just an overall nice guy. So in honor of Rich Pratchett, unanimous Diva of the Week for Week 7 on the show. We're gonna move right into the After Dark portion of the show. We've asked some people to come and speak about Rich, about him as a man, about their interactions, their experiences with him. Whatever they wanted to share was fine. We've got a couple have already gotten in. We're waiting on a few more. I'm hoping some more will come in. I think Eddie Gage is supposed to be here. Mike Daggs. But I think I'm gonna start with Charles Doherty just because he was the first one in here. And Cam, just so you know, I'm probably gonna have you go last to wrap it up, so you can kind of wrap up the whole essence of Rich and what everybody else has said. So, Charles, if you can hear me, tell me about Rich Pratchett and your interactions with him and just the kind of guy he was.
He's a class guy, man. I played 2 seasons with him in Vancouver. Did broadcasting with him. Did stats for a couple games where he did broadcasting. And I also got to spend a lot of time with him at the convention. And him and his wife really went out of their way, to spend time with me, get to know me, and it's hard. So
I get it. Sorry to put you on the spot like that. I'm trying to see who else is in here. Charles, if you want to say some more, you can in a minute if you want to. Mike Daggs, I see, just popped in. Mike Daggs, tell us about Rich Pratchett. Mike, I can't hear you. You're unmuted, but I can't hear you. All right, let's move on to Eddie Gage. Eddie, go ahead and unmute yourself when you get a chance. We'll see what Mike may have to jump out and jump back in to get his mic working. But Eddie Gage, tell me about Rich Pratchett.
How you doing? Can you hear me?
Yep, can hear you.
Hey, what's going on? So I met Rich at the convention. Only time I ever met him was at the second convention. I broadcast a number of games with him, and as everyone else has already said a million times over, one of the nicest guys in the SFL. You've never had any problems out of the guy, like I don't think like ever. I mean, he's just overall just a great guy. Called a number of broadcasts with him. He's always, helped me feel comfortable when I first came in and helped me to relax and calm down. And just, man, he's just a great guy. I was shocked by the news, and still hasn't really quite hit me yet that the guy's gone. I mean, I just called a game with the guy a few weeks ago, and the fact that he's gone is just really hasn't even really hit me yet. It's just crazy.
Mike, are you back with us? I think Mike's having audio issues. He came back in, but I don't see him. I mean, I'm sorry. I can see him, but I can't hear him. My bad. No, Mike, I don't know. We can't hear you for some reason. You're not muted, but I'm not seeing the circle around your name for some reason. Charles, did you want to add anything else before I go to Cam?
No, he's just, real nice guy, and he's one of the few people that, it's rare when you meet someone that spends more time wanting to learn about you than telling them about themselves. So,
right, that's good. Mike Daggs, I'm sorry, bro. I just can't seem to get you. It must be a mic issue on your side, maybe. I think I'll go to Cam, and then Mike, if we can get you on after him, we'll get you on here. Cam, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We got to get a new broadcast director.
Well, in his defense, I heard he is traveling. I don't know if that makes a difference or not. That might be problem. While we wait for Mike to see if he can get his microphone, Mike can get his mic working. I know that you were probably the closest person to him, in the SFL. So, and just tell us what you can about Rich Pratchett.
Yeah, he, 1 week he shows up at my place. He's like 50 minutes before kickoff, 5-0. He walks in, and I open the door, and actually I had a hard time getting the door unstuck, so the dog's barking, doesn't know who it is, and he's just laughing on the other side of the door. Get the door open, finally open up the door. He goes, "Oh, sorry, I'm late." And I look at him. I'm like, "You don't know me at all. 50 minutes before kickoff, and you're apologizing for being late." That sort of thing. He just super easy to work with. I think Rich was, he's pretty hard on himself. We would go off air, and he would say things like, "I just cannot think of words today," and I would always harken back to my time with Charles in the booth, and I'm like, "You've been talking to Charles? Like, you two are so hard on yourself off air. It's like just relax." And he was kind of transitioning into a new role, but we were excited because I was, going to get to see him in his play-by-play element during high school season, and kind of get to play that back seat, sort of as that, not necessarily as a thank you for him taking the analyst role with me, but just to kind of return the favor of, hey, I'm, let me put in the time and the work on the tech side and the analyst side and all that stuff. And when his wife, among other things that me and his wife talked about after he passed, she said, kind of with a broken voice, in sort of that overwhelmed sound you get, out of people when they're just really emotional. And she says to me, there's just so much tech stuff here, and I don't know what any of it is, Cam. We got to figure out what it all is. Yeah, of course. I'm sitting here. I've got a headphone amplifier here. We transitioned to, kind of a different setup. He was able to kind of help broadcasts from the studios be be better. He just second to none. It only took him one time to walk in my studio, realize he couldn't hear himself call games in his ears, just to check his levels and stuff, and he wasn't having any of it. He's like, okay, next time I come here, I'm going to bring this and this and this, and we're going to, plug in all this stuff here. So my beautifully arranged desk is full of cords and gear and all this stuff, but it made the product better. I called him up an hour before week 1, and I told him, I just realized I do not have a 4th HDMI cord that can reach all the way to the other side of the room. All of my cords are short. I have like 15 extra, and all of them are too short. And so he's like, okay, I'm on it. And he shows up, and he's like, okay, I got 6 different lengths. Let's see. And he had all these, and I'm like, oh my gosh, man. So we finally found one that fit. But I mean, he was fully prepared. He would have turned around, gone back if he had to, all that stuff. And that's just the kind of guy he was.
Yeah, he sounds like a great guy. I think it sounds like anybody who did not get to meet him, like myself, really missed out on a great opportunity to meet a really great guy. Mike Daggs, are you back with us? Are you?
I think so.
There you go.
Does my audio sound any good at all?
You sound okay. I can hear myself in the background, though, so can you mute your Twitch?
Yeah, I have Twitch closed. It was the only way I could even get this working.
No worries at all. Go ahead, and I'll just be quiet and let you speak.
All right. Well, thanks. I'm glad I was able to get it working. I just, truth be told, I just didn't want Cam to go last. I figured, I wanted that, so I just waited until he was done, and then then tried to get this working. So, but no, Rich reached out to me. Whatever, Cam. Oh man. So Rich reached out to me a couple years ago about getting involved in the league, and I actually wasn't quite sure that it was going to even happen, because when he first contacted me, he said that he did play-by-play in real life, and he had found the SFL and was interested in it, and but much like you saw in the tribute video where he was saying it's really not his thing. He's like, yeah, I don't really know if I would be able to see these numbers on these jerseys that well. Do you have spotters? And I kind of laughed at him at that point when he asked if we had spotters. It's like, buddy, we're still building the broadcast team. I mean, we don't even have a play-by-play crew for every single game yet. We have people doing 2 or 3 games a week sometimes. So no, there's no spotters, but and then he actually kind of disappeared for a couple weeks, and I didn't hear from him. And he had sent me a sample audio recording that he had done for one of his games, and he sounded phenomenal, like you've all heard on the broadcast that he does. And I definitely wanted to get him involved, and I sent him probably like 4 messages, like frantically trying to get this guy to respond back to me, and almost gave up. And then out of the blue, he finally responded, and we had him do a tryout, and I mean, it was about 30 seconds into the tryout, and I was sold. I was done. I was like, no, you're good. But I let it play out so that we could hear it, and ultimately obviously he joined the broadcast team and really took off with it. He even helped me out a couple of times with doing tryouts for other people down the road before I had Curtis helping me out with that. And he's one of the only people, just very few people, I'll say, that I've only met through the SFL that I actually talked to, out about non-SFL stuff. We would text from time to time and just talk about network stuff. He'd have, computer questions. I'd bounce questions off of him. I'd send him pictures of some of the atrocious network setups that I find in some of the places that I go to, just so he could get a laugh out of it, since he was an IT guy at heart. So it was nice having that sort of connection with somebody like Rich on a level that was outside of just talking about SFL stuff day after day. And it's something that I'm definitely going to miss. I've watched that tribute video that Cam put together probably 15 times now. I was telling the broadcast team this last night just so I could hear him hear the interview and hear his broadcast calls. Again, I'm probably just going to watch some of his games just to hear him call those games again. He was he was a fantastic contributor to the league. And I'm just extremely thankful that, I remember Andy asking me, he thought I was nuts. Andy Hamilton thought I was crazy because when they had the convention in Atlanta, I couldn't go for the whole thing. So I bought a plane ticket to fly down there in the morning, stayed for a few hours, and then flew back that night. And he thought I was just crazy to come down, fly to Atlanta just for a few hours. But that was the one and only time I ever got to meet Rich. So that is some of the most well-spent money that I've ever spent in my life. Knowing that I finally did get the opportunity to meet Rich. That was the first and unfortunately the last time I was ever going to be able to see him. And it's something that I'll never forget.
That's a great lesson to be learned right there. Making that extra trip, making that extra effort to make the trip, I should say. How many times do we not do that for people and then we end up regretting it later? So I'm glad to hear that you haven't regretted that. Does anybody else want to say any other last words? There's a few people that weren't able to get on that wanted to get on, but I guess they weren't able to get here. If anybody else wants to say any other words before we sign off about Rich.
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead, Cam.
When we got to the studio for the convention, in our space, we were under the impression that the space that we were renting would have a bunch of a staff helping us set up the venue. And we get there, and there's one guy setting up chairs. It's like I walked in and I said, where is everybody? And he's like, just me. And I thought, oh God, I knew right from that moment we were not going to kick off on time. They left this guy, I don't know what they thought we were, but they didn't get it right because our whole system of setup with audio and video and how to connect to the internet and throw it up on the projectors and all that stuff. Oh, that guy was trying to set up chairs and figure out why we couldn't hear ourselves through the speakers in the place, all sorts of stuff. And without Rich Pratchard, we never would have made it on the air. He was the tech expert trying to figure out where the audio was going, where it was supposed to go, what chords we didn't have, what chords we needed. He kind of coordinated with the guy that was helping us, and when that guy couldn't help us, Rich took charge. And, that day, most people that weren't at the convention were waiting an hour and a half for us to kick off finally. And they were probably all sitting around going, ugh, where are the games? When are the games going to happen? And then when they started, they all probably thought, oh, finally, the games have started. But nobody was like, thanks, Rich.
Right.
Nobody at home was like, you're the man, Pratchard. If he wouldn't have done that and been there, I don't know, because like Daggs said, he didn't get there till later. And we had, a skeleton crew of knowledgeable tech people. And if Rich wasn't there, who knows if we would have even gotten all the games in or, been able to finish them all before they closed. I mean, it was a stressful situation. And that clip there's a clip in the tribute that doesn't have sound, but the sound is Andy asking, how many idiots does it take to plug in a computer? And Rich said 4, apparently. And that's when Andy pointed to the other room.
Right.
And what Andy was saying is, well, it's 5 because Andrew left to go get a cord we don't have. And that whole conversation and the fact that in that stressful moment, you saw me sitting at the computer and I gave kind of a half smile, trying not to pretend like my world wasn't on fire at that moment. But Rich handled it in stride. Yeah, I'm an idiot. So is everybody else. And it didn't seem to faze him at all. So that's one of the biggest moments for me where it's like, wow, Rich really saved our butt that day.
Wow. Benji, I'm sorry. I overlooked you. I'm not sure. Did you know Rich? Did you call some games with him?
I am new to the SFL. but I will say that one of my very first experiences with the league was right here at the end of season 14, and it was hearing Rich and Cam on some calls on the YouTube channel that really kind of drew me in and made me want to see what was going on. Right off the bat, then it was Rich's voice, Cam's voice together on a couple of those productions that really kind of floored me actually when I saw what it was that was going on. And then here in season 15, I've been in the stats truck with Cam and Rich a few times, including their last game together. And even, no one could have ever known what was coming. But I think I was in the truck with Art, and I just remember, it's a good memory to have. I just remember Cam and Rich laughing. I think I made a couple mistakes, so we were laughing at me a couple times too. But just Rich and Cam sharing some laughter together, and just knowing how well they worked together to help make this place, the SFL, what it is. At least for me, as something I'll always remember about Rich. And he just had that voice when you talked to him, that he was immediately your friend. And I think that's one of the things that make the SFL such a special place. It's full of wonderful people here who are friends to everyone. So I think I'll just always remember my first memories of the SFL being of Rich and Cam calling games, and it was great to be a part of that team up to the very end. So just a fond memory I'll always carry of Rich.
That's a great story. I just wanted to comment real quick. Daggs said in the chat while Cam was telling his story that Rich really saved our butts that day. And then also on Tuesday, Ashley Jackson and Dwayne, I don't know Dwayne's last name, but from St. Louis, the owner of St. Louis, they were on the show and they said some words about Rich. And Ashley just put in the chat, I can't do it tonight, Dave, but I will let you guys know that Rich was one of the people who gave me the courage to do broadcasting. I will appreciate that forever. Anybody got any last words before we sign off about Rich? I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to speak. I don't want to cut anybody off. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for coming in and talking about him, especially to people like myself who never really got a chance to meet him. I'm sure everybody listening appreciates your stories. I know they were kind of tough to tell right now and tough to talk about, but we really appreciate it. So thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Cam, Daggs, Charles. Thank you guys, Eddie, for coming on and talking about Richard tonight. I also want to thank Benji and Coach and Frank for coming on and being our panelists tonight. Thanks to Ron Cochran for coming on the show as well, and always to Gunny also. Thank you all for listening. Thanks for hanging around and listening to these great and wonderful stories about Rich Pratchett. Everybody have a good night. Have a great weekend. Good luck in your games, and we'll see you next Tuesday.